The ability to test decades-old DNA and a new technique led to an arrest in a gruesome killing of a woman in Minneapolis.
Senior investigative reporter Jennifer Mayerly and photojournalist Grant Verdon are the team behind our latest WCCO original, Footprint to Murder. They walk us through how police used DNA evidence in this case.
It was in this apartment in the distinct Horn Towers in South Minneapolis where investigators discovered the violent crime scene.
It was quite a bloody crime scene with, heavy blood on the comforter and the bed.
Much of the DNA was from the stabbing victim, 35-year-old Jeanie Childs. Betty Ekman learned the victim was her daughter.
I was doing hospice at the time, and the lady decided she wanted a television on. And they said there had been a body taken out of the building that was murdered. I looked at the building and I said, oh my God.
Police collected unknown DNA from the apartment, but the science wasn't widely used in 1993. A different case later that year was the state's first DNA match to a suspect in the sex offender registry.
They had virtually nothing to go on, no suspects. That's when technology took over. The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension took a blood sample from the scene and ran it through DNA testing. For the first time ever, a computer told authorities they had a match.
While DNA was starting to be used, DNA collected from the Minneapolis crime scene in the murder of Jeanie Childs would go unidentified for decades. Investigators reopened the cold case in 2015.
Why does DNA make a difference?
One of the reasons DNA makes a difference in these long-term unsolved cases is witnesses are sometimes unavailable or have changed, but DNA is a compelling piece of evidence in that it can put somebody at the scene.
A few years later, a case halfway across the country gave investigators an idea.
In April of 2018, we heard and read and followed the Golden State Killer case in which investigative genealogy was used.
So that high-profile case got your attention in this case.
It did. It was really striking when we called out to California. He immediately said, "You are going to identify who did this using this technique."
We had a chance to watch it, and it's just really fascinating, a really good in-depth look at what happened here. The DNA is really interesting. We hear about it so much, but it really hasn't been around that long.
That's right. As we researched this project, we learned that DNA was really new in the 90s. Around when this case happened. And we found that old story sharing that same year that Jeanie was killed was the same year Minnesota had its first DNA match. So we've come a long way since then. In this case, it was important the DNA was preserved and was still able to be tested after all these years, and it would lead investigators to a suspect. Don't miss our WCCO original true crime documentary, Footprint to Murder, right here on YouTube. Just click or tap here to start watching right now, or find the link in the description. And while you're there, like the video and subscribe to the WCCO YouTube channel.